Misanthropic greetings from Rauta. This time we have 3 different releases by Finnish label Misantropia Records, and these bands are from Nordic countries, 1 from Sweden, 2 from Finland. Curiously enough, however, the Swedish band actually has a Finnish name. Coincidence? You decide. Now, as always with the Underground Trio episodes, I'll go from worst to best according to my own opinion and take. Feel free to disagree. This is no point of debate here so much, but just me going through the albums and trying to describe them so that it would make a little bit of sense for you to figure out whether or not these are your cup of tea, figuratively speaking. Now, since all of these bands are black metal, and all of them are more on the atmospheric side of things, it might be hard to figure out which way to go, like which actually separates 2 different albums from one another and so forth, but I'll do my best in order to give you tips. If you think you're in for more darker sense of black metal, in the sense of being atmospheric, maybe even depressive side of black metal, then congratulations, all these 3 might be your cup of tea. Then again, if you're looking for some kind of a melodic level of aggression, move ahead, nothing to see here. Now, as it's been said as an introduction, let's do it from worst to best. First we'll head to Sweden with this band called Yritys. Curiously enough, this is the band that has a Finnish name as the band name. Yritys can be translated in various ways. This album is called Delusion, and that's the debut one by this band. So about the name. Yritys feels like these Swedes have done a little bit of Google translation, or maybe they actually know they're Finnish, but that would only make things a little bit more awkward. Literally, Yritys most commonly is seen as a corporation, a company of sorts. Not like friends keeping you company, but just corporate thing, you know, some kind of like Inc. or whatever. Microsoft, think of that. Just corporation. But literally, Yritys can also be translated to something like attempt or try. And as we all remember from Star Wars movies, Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try, there is no Yritys. Okay, nerdic jokes aside, this one is indeed on the side of melancholic, dark black metal, flirting with depressive type of it. And this is a pretty interesting one because it actually at the same time goes really, really dark places, but it's also like avoiding to be full-fledged, pure blood black metal. Let me try to elaborate. There are lots of parts where you just remove the distorted guitar from the play and rather replace it with just kind of a like electric guitar doing those kind of simple chords being played and all that stuff. Now, if this is leaning towards the Kira and all that stuff, you're not totally mistaken. That especially when the parts are combined with spoken parts, kind of not samples, but just spoken parts instead of raspy, screamy vocals, what have you, typically in the black metal department. So it's kind of like a little bit catatonia and care and all that stuff put into play in order to balance things out. And overall, this reminds me kind of like demo level Shining in so many ways. There are lots of parts where it really goes to the world of Shining with being kind of flirting with the depression, suicide, and dark topics and all that stuff. But then again, it's also like lighting a torch of hope in so many places. It's almost like hey, everything is going super dark and all that stuff. Maybe we should just bring some joy to the room. I don't know, light a couple of candles and get yourself a cup of warm tea or cocoa. And things are maybe not that bad. Maybe talk to your good friend about like those dark thoughts inside. It's a really like schizophrenic album in so many ways. Roar at some parts and then again very soothing in some other parts. And to me it sounds like it's a little bit work in progress. Not bad by no means, but still actually just heading towards decent release, whereas this is a little bit imbalanced. Good parts, mediocre parts, and the result is somewhere between. Then we have this Finnish band called Permament Delusion, and of course you can once again figure out to which kind of stuff, which kind of solutions, which kind of permanency we are referring to. This album is very, very mystic with weird titles and all that stuff. I mean, it's not like really you have tracks number 1, 2, 3, and so forth with real numbers, names or that, but just bunch of weird numbers. If that is where you're going to put your Googling skills into use and all that stuff and trying to figure out, good luck with that. There are probably a lot of people who want to go all deciphering these texts and meanings. Now, as you can see, this album also comes without, this album comes without booklet. The previous one obviously had it. So it's just liner notes, basically what you have here. The style is kind of a melodic raw end of black metal. Now, by raw end, I really don't mean bands like, Dark Throne's Golden Era or Iliarn or Judas Iscariot or anything of that. When we're talking about real raw end of black metal, well, this is not exactly that. But it's kind of like atmospheric black metal with a little bit of flirting towards depressive, suicidal kind of stuff. But then again, there are also parts where it's just way more aggressive and straightforward. Almost like a little bit schizophrenic like the previous one, but not as clearly. I mean, there are parts where it goes just like mid-tempo and just, invoking this darkness into your home and all that stuff, and then it gets into a kind of a fight where the aggression, violence and all that stuff enter to play. Pretty good in fact, but there are parts where this just kind of gets annoying, and one of them is the production. Now, I was told that this production is very, very much what the band wanted, but for example, there are parts where the cymbals, the faster parts, where it kind of gets almost clipping the sound. So it's kind of like weaving back and forth with the production. This is not something that you'd necessarily figure out right away, depending once again on your studio sound setup and all. But to me, it became more and more apparent and kind of annoying the more I was listening to this. Now, mind you, if you listen to the mid-tempo parts, you don't see this or hear this weaving moment so much, and you don't necessarily recognize the clipping. But certain parts where the splash goes like, and it's kind of an annoying effect. This is something you might get used to, and after a while, you probably don't even give a damn. But at first, it can be a little bit like, why are these guys doing that? What went wrong with the mixing or mastering? Or was there a problem with the recording already with the overheads and all this stuff? Where in contrast, you barely get to hear the snare sound. Now, I don't usually mind so much if production is a little bit this and that, but when there are clear, flaws, something really, really audible, something that kind of stick out, then it's worth mentioning. Now, despite of that, this is actually pretty good of a recording, but with better production, with more powerful vocals, which are also too much in the background or just kind of a weakish. I'm being really, really critical here. This could be a lot better. So as I feel about it, and I think this is the second album of the band, I think these guys could be nailing it, but they would need someone to tell what knob to do and whatever to do with the recording and mixing and mastering process. So it's like do as raw black metal as I can, or as atmospheric as I can, but just do it the proper way. I mean, there's a reason why Dark Throne does the necro sound properly, and so many bands that trying to follow the same steps don't really understand what's going on. And then we head to the best album of the pile, also the most soothing one, the most atmospheric one. This is a Voidwind debut album, what we have here. A nice looking digipack, and here is the album and Clad in Your Misery. So it's like, seems like this songwriter person, I have wild guess who it is like, okay, you have depression and misery and all that shit, let me just wear it like a robe, like a cape. This is actually, you can pretty much figure it out once you open the links provided in the description box, as always, of course. You can pretty much figure out what is the band linkage, what is the connection. There are links to Kalmankandaya, Patient Omega, Wild Taya, and all that stuff. Now, mind you, this one also comes without a booklet, but as you can see, the lyrics are right here on the booklet. I mean, the digipack pages, so you can pretty much figure it out. This looks nice, glossy stuff, and everything seems to be very much supporting the music. Not that different what, Kalmankandaya, Wild Taya, or Patient Omega has been doing with the stuff. If you browse the Bandcamp site by the artist, you will instantly recognize the style and understand what I mean. Now, musically, this might be the easiest of the pile because this is very, very atmospheric, very melancholic. It's like a borderline black metal in the sense of it all. I mean, if you would remove certain elements or replace it, say like clean singing here, you would probably put it somewhere near different genre. For example, one could really put this into the world of dark metal and nobody would blink an eye basically. This is as far from black metal as a lot of those death black metal bands, which definitely have the black metal layers and certain kind of atmosphere feeling, if you will, in the album. But apart from that, they're not really pure blood black metal. So if you would call this something like post-black or dark metal or whatever, I mean, probably wouldn't that much of a misleading really. But calling it atmospheric black metal or even depressive black metal, even though I think it's a kind of a stretch, yeah, you can pretty much figure out which way to go. I like the atmosphere, I really do, but when it comes to the individual riffs and, songwriting, that's not exactly very catchy. So this album either dies or survives because of the strong atmosphere. The vocals are another weak point in my opinion, because they're like really too weak compared to whatever guitarists and lots of keyboards are doing. In fact, I would go even as far as to say the keyboards are the main instrument on this album, whereas the guitars are more like supporting them. And the keyboards, piano, whatever you have it, they are doing wonderful work. If only the guitar riffs were more memorable and if only there was more power, some kind of a more energy to the vocals, this could be really one of the better ones of 2023. Now something is missing, but this is definitely a promising one and as such the best of this pile. But like I said, if you're into depressive black metal, atmospheric black metal and things like that, all these 3 different albums are worth taking a shot. Links are included in the description box, so you will find Facebook or Bandcamp, what have you, from there. And of course you can always just contact the label, because these are all Misantropia Records label releases, and get a copy for yourself to enjoy the coming winter and all that stuff. Now, off you go. I hope you found this review useful. If not, too bad. And if you did, give me a thumb or comment. Thank you and see you soon with more reviews coming your way. Bye bye.